$20 million just walked out of a crypto treasury in broad daylight. And here is the part that should keep you up at night. Nobody hacked anything. No stolen password, no secret bug in the code, no malware, no phishing email, no backdoor. The thief walked in through the front door, signed the guest book, and left with the vault, because the rules said he was allowed to. This is the strangest heist crypto has seen in years. And once you understand how it worked, you will never look at the word decentralized the same way again. Let me set the scene. BonkDAO is the community that runs BONK, one of the biggest meme coins on the Solana blockchain. Like a lot of crypto projects, it likes to call itself a decentralized organization, a DAO, which means in theory that nobody is in charge. Instead of a boss, there are token holders, and those token holders vote. Want to spend money from the treasury? You do not ask a CEO. You write a proposal, everyone votes, and if it passes, the blockchain executes it automatically. No lawyers, no bank, no human standing in the way. That is supposed to be the beauty of it. On July 6th, 2026, it became the weapon. Here is what actually happened, step by careful step, because the details are what make this so chilling. A few days before the attack, an anonymous wallet started quietly buying BONK tokens on the open market, on major exchanges like Binance and Bybit. Not all at once, which would spike the price and raise alarms. Slowly, patiently, spread out over July 4th and 5th, like someone filling a bathtub one cup at a time so the neighbors do not hear the water running. By the time they were done, they had spent roughly $4.4 million. And that $4.4 million bought them something far more valuable than tokens. It bought them votes. Because in BonkDAO's system, to pass a proposal, you only needed the support of 1% of the total BONK supply. 1%. That is the quorum, the minimum participation for a vote to count. It sounds like a safety rail. It was actually the unlocked window. 1% of BONK worked out to about 880 billion tokens. And our patient buyer had just accumulated 882 billion. He cleared the bar by a hair, barely 2 billion tokens over the line. And here is my first honest reaction, and I want to be blunt about it. A treasury holding $20 million should never, ever be 1% turnout away from being emptied. That is not decentralization. That is a piñata with a sign that says, "Please do not hit me." So now the attacker has the votes. There was a proposal sitting in the system, a routine-looking request to move around 4.4 trillion BONK tokens out of the treasury. When the voting window closed on July 6th, the numbers were surreal. 99.9% of the votes said yes, not because thousands of people agreed, because 7 wallets voted, and almost all the weight belonged to one buyer. 7 wallets. Meanwhile, more than 18,000 eligible members did nothing. Turnout was under 3%. Everyone else was asleep at the wheel, and the blockchain does not wait for the people who did not show up. The proposal passed. The smart contract did exactly what it was told, and roughly $20 million in BONK flowed straight out of the community treasury and into the attacker's wallet. Sit with the math for a second, because it is obscene. He put in about $4.4 million. He walked away with about $20 million. That is nearly a 5-to-1 return, earned in a matter of days, and technically he did not break a single rule. Which brings us to the question that has crypto tearing itself apart this week, and it is genuinely a hard one. Was this even a crime? Or did he just play the game better than everyone else? Here is the case that it was theft, plain and simple. The money belonged to a community. It was drained against that community's interest by someone who never intended to help the project. He bought in purely to loot it and leave. Law enforcement has reportedly been notified. Exchanges are being asked to freeze the funds as stolen property. Morally, most normal people look at this and say, obviously, that is stealing. You do not get to empty the church collection plate just because you technically bought a pew. But here is the uncomfortable other side, and I think you have to be honest about it or you learn nothing. No code was hacked. The voting worked exactly as designed. He bought tokens legally. He submitted a valid proposal. He met the quorum the project itself set. He won a vote the project itself ran. Every single step used the DAO's own rulebook. And crypto spent years telling us that code is law, that the whole point of these systems is that the rules are the rules, no takebacks, no human judge to overrule the outcome. Well, this is what code is law looks like when someone reads the code more carefully than you did. My honest take, you cannot spend a decade bragging that your system removes human beings from the decision, and then, the moment a human beats your system fair and square, suddenly demand that human beings step in and reverse it. You do not get to have it both ways. This attack is not a bug in the philosophy. It is the philosophy staring back at you. And that is why this is so much bigger than one memecoin. Because the flaws that got exploited here are everywhere. Flaw number 1, the quorum was pathetically low. 1% is cheap to buy, especially when the token has fallen more than 80% over the past year, and voters are exhausted and checked out. Flaw number 2, there was no time lock. In a well-designed system, a big treasury withdrawal has a built-in delay. Hours or days where the community can see it coming and hit the emergency brake. Here, the transfer executed automatically, instantly. No delay, no break, no time to scream. Flaw number 3. There was no emergency multisig. No small group of trusted signers who have to co-sign before millions of dollars can move. The treasury was a car with no seatbelt, no airbag, and the keys left in the ignition. Now, here is the part that makes this story feel like a thriller that is not finished yet. Most of the money has not moved. The attacker sold off around $5 million of the BONK he had bought and routed a tiny sliver, under $200,000, to an exchange about 9 hours after the drain. But roughly $19 million is still sitting, frozen in plain sight, in his own multisig wallet. On-chain analysts at firms like Chainalysis and Look'nChain are watching every transaction. BonkDAO says it is working with the Solana Foundation, with exchanges, with bridges, and with law enforcement to try to claw it back. So right now, as I record this, we have a standoff. $19 million, visible to the entire world, sitting in a wallet everyone can see and nobody can touch. The thief cannot easily cash out without tripping the exchanges that are watching for him. The community cannot reach into his wallet and take it back. It is a hostage situation on a public ledger. So what happens next? And what does it mean for you? In the short term, watch that 19 million. If it starts moving through mixers and bridges, the money is likely gone for good, and this becomes a permanent scar. If exchanges manage to freeze it as it tries to exit, we might see the rare crypto ending where the victim actually gets made whole. Either way, the bigger consequence is already here. Every DAO on the planet is now looking at its own quorum, its own time locks, its own treasury, and quietly sweating. Expect a wave of governance reform. Higher quorums, mandatory delays, emergency multisigs, smarter voting systems that make it far more expensive to simply buy your way to control. And here's the lesson I want you to walk away with, because it is worth more than any price prediction. In crypto, the scariest attacks are not the ones that break the rules. They are the ones that follow the rules perfectly all the way to your bank account. Decentralized does not automatically mean safe. Sometimes it just means there is no one to call when it goes wrong. If you hold a governance token and you never vote, understand what that silence actually is. It is an unlocked door, and someone out there is always checking the handle. If this breakdown made the chaos make sense, do me a favor and subscribe, because I go deep on exactly these stories. The ones where the fine print turns out to be the whole story. I will keep watching that $19 million, and I will tell you how it ends. This is analysis and commentary, not financial advice. Stay sharp, and I will see you in the next one.